I'm frozen. Let it go. Oh, because I was letting you guys write down the review. Thank you. Oh, I'm still frozen. Boop. Number 2, collinear. Number 4, cryptogram. Number 10, with Kramer's rule, you should have gotten 7 and 5. Just a hint on the test, if I say using Kramer's rule, will substitution or elimination get you full points? No. I will need to see Kramer's rule. And if it is the non-calculator portion, these numbers should be small, right? If it's the calculator portion, you just need to show me the setup, and then you can go ahead and use the calculator to finish. You just need to show me the setup. You can use the calculator to finish. Does that make sense? Okay. So if it's non-calculator, the numbers should be smaller. If it's calculator, just show me the setup to get full points to show me that you know Kramer's rule. And then finish. The solution is 7, 5. Number 42. Ooh. You were trying to find y to make it collinear, right? No, where the area equals 0? Yeah, collinear, because it equals 0. So one way would have been to go ahead and do the determinant. And they used row 3, I think. No, column 3. They used column 3. And did the expansion by cofactors. Final answer, y has to equal 3. To make them collinear. Y has to equal 3. Number 54, you were taking iceberg dead ahead. You were going ahead and assigning numbers to those letters, including zeros as the blanks. And do you see how nasty the book does it? Look at them. They did each line. Oh, who has that time? What would you have done instead? Wouldn't you have made this a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 by 3? Just 1 6 by 3, multiply it once, and don't you have all of these rows? Silly book. Why were they doing it? I don't know. And so the cryptogram or the encoded message would have been these numbers. Now they put spaces. I had you guys putting commas. Either way is good. Either way is good. But you would have taken the message. You would have translated the letters to numbers, cut them into 3s, made a 6 by 3 matrix, multiplied it by the encoder once, and you should have gotten these numbers out. Number 64 was a little rough, yeah? Because number 64 said, hey, guess what? You have this, and this part of the message gets you Sue, I think. Was that it? This part of the message times the encoder gets you Sue. Why would they do something like this? Does anybody know how the... Oh, what was the actual cipher called? Oh, I should have that off the tip of my brain, but it's gone. With the German coded messages, they were using an Enigma machine. We were trying to break the code, and they figured out that the message always ended with. Started with? Ended with. What did it end with, Aiden? Hail Hitler. And the way they were able to break the code is they figured out every message ended with Hail Hitler. If you can know one little piece, it might be able to break down the entire thing, which is pretty cool. I mean, this one was Sue, like great, good, awesome. But Hail Hitler was a practical application of this idea. Anyway, it did make it much more complicated, but you were able to break it because if you knew that this times the encoder was Sue, and you could take Sue and you could actually match it up with what the actual numbers were. Thank you, Aiden, for having that off the top of your head. I couldn't remember if it was the beginning or the end. With Sue, then, well, how do I get to A? Well, guys, how do I undo any matrix? The inverse. So I could take this, which was the encoded message, and I could actually multiply both sides by the inverse of this to get to A. So I could go ahead and do this matrix inverse, whatever you called him, whether you called him B or C, or I don't know what you guys were calling him. You might have even made him A. He just wasn't that guy. But you would need this guy's inverse times that guy, because this guy's inverse times himself is the identity. You just get A. And then on the other side, you could go ahead and figure out what was going on. And once you figured out who A was, then you could multiply the entire message times A's inverse. You can multiply the entire message times A's inverse and get back to cancel orders soon. This complicated 64? No. No. It's a great problem. It's a really cool homework problem, but no. It'll be much more straightforward on the test. On the test, I think I ask you to either encode or decode a message given either A or A inverse. To either encode or decode a message given A or A inverse. That's a multiple choice. And then there's a long answer. There's a long answer where you have to do decoding a message. So I give you a hidden one. I think encoding might be the multiple choice and decoding is the long answer. Something like that. But nothing where I just give you like a piece of the puzzle and I don't give you the encoder. Sorry, I don't give you the encoding or the encoding inverse. Yeah. Was there any other evens? I always remember this one to be the last one, but I might be wrong. No, that's the last one. Okay, anything on the evens you guys want me to go over? You sure? You sure? Okay, do you want me to give you a few hints on the test really quickly and then let you guys loose on the test review? Okay, let me get that test review back up on the board just in case you guys didn't get it and you want to. Oh, sorry. I need to get to the Microsoft Word document. Oh, I'm not supposed to cough on my hands. Hand sanitizer. Hand sanitizer is only useful if you use it and rub it until dry. Ooh. Use it and rub it until dry. And your hands shouldn't be grubby or grimy or dirty. Because if the hand sanitizer is cleaning it, guess what? It's getting stuck in the dirt and not really getting to your skin. Okay. Yeah. It's very good advice. It's very good advice. But a hospital environment is quite a bit different than, well. But if I just coughed into my hands, theoretically, Kyle, it makes sense that I should, right? Before I go touching other things around the classroom. But yeah, that's good advice for the rest of you. I already mentioned, but it was brief, that there's going to be 2 parts to tomorrow's test, a non-calculator part and a calculator part. If you guys want to be in your notes, if you want to be in your test review somewhere writing down some of these hints, it'd be a great idea. True? Okay. You're going to need to know basics of matrices, like the order. Equal matrices have equal parts. How to add, subtract, multiply. I shouldn't put it that way. How to add and subtract and multiply by a scalar. Matrices. Ooh, how do we multiply matrices? One matrix times another, not just times a number, but times another matrix. Remember, we have to go across, down, one at a time, right? Point, multiply, and as we switch, what do? Good. Multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply. True? You have to do that for every row, every column. Some of you need to practice that. Wait, when is that illegal? Yeah, so if the insides don't match. The outsides don't have to. The insides do. Outsides tell you how big the answer is. Good. So could there be some impossible matrix multiplications? Yes. How can you find the inverse of a 2 by 2 by hand? Okay. I'm hearing a lot of different ones. One is to make like an A, B, C, D, multiply it, and make a system of equations. The other way is to use a formula, 1 over the determinant times. Flip the main opposite the opposite. Did I do it the right way for you guys? Sorry. Flip the main opposite. Flip the main opposite. Flip the main opposite the opposite. Anyway. There is a formula, but there are also techniques. Can't you also doubly augment and row reduce? there's going to be one inverse you have to do by hand, but it's just going to be a 2 by 2. So write that down, one inverse, and you get to choose. There are 3 different ways in section, what was that, 8.3? 8.2? Yeah, 8.2 or 8.3. You're going to have to find one inverse by hand, but it's just a 2 by 2. Kyle. Oh, no. You're going to have to find 1, 2, 3 determinants by hand. One's a 2 by 2. One's a 3 by 3. 2 by 2, there's a formula, yeah? 3 by 3, there's a formula or a trick, right? And then there's one that's bigger. Welcome. Might be some zeros. Just a couple. Maybe a few. All right, that's the non-calculator portion. Ooh, so what's the calculator portion? First of all, calculator portion, if possible. Calculator portion, if possible, use your calculator. True? So calculator portion, if there's like matrix multiplication, what could you do? Use your calculator to do it. True? If there's something where I want you to solve a system of equations, a big old long huge one, and you're allowed to use your calculator, what operation can you use? RREF. Booyah. Right? If you have something like a yeah, if you're supposed to find the determinant of a matrix, what operation is there in matrix math? DET. Nice. If I want you to use Cramer's rule, ooh, on the calculator portion, what do I want to see first? X equals Y equals Z equals however many variables there are with the quick little fractions, but what can you use to do it for you? The calculator as in solving those fractions. True? Ooh. If I want you to find the area of a triangle, can you use your calculator to do the determinant of the formula that you're supposed to find? Yes, but what do I want you to show first? Just write it and then do it in your calculator. Does that make sense? So, on the calculator portion, are you doing anything by hand unless there are like some X's or Y's where you have to kind of do it by hand to get there? But if there are numbers, where can you go right away? To the calculator, as long as you show me the setup. Like if there's a formula, show me the formula, then go to your calculator. Like Cramer's rule, and like area, and like collinear. Hey, wasn't there a collinear one a second ago in the homework with like a Y in it? Might be good to look at that one. I'm going to have you encode a message. I'm going to give you the message and you encode it with a particular encoding. And then I'm going to give you a message to decode, to decipher. And that's it. That's the end. Ready, set, you have the test review up there to go. I'm going to go ahead and put a picture of the test review on the screen, but I have plenty of textbooks up here. Guys, is there tons and tons and tons of memorizing to do? Not really, but are there formulas like how to find, or processes, how to find a determinant, how to find an inverse of a square matrix, how to figure out area, how to figure out collinear, especially in section 8.5. There are things to study. But most of all, you guys just need to practice and make sure you have your skills sharp for tomorrow. Sound good? Sharp in the calculator and sharp by hand. Don't just use your calculator on the review. Okay, if you guys need a book or you don't have a book ready, page 596. Oops, what's the end? I'm not on page 596. Oh, that's chapter 9, sequences and series and probability. Go team. At least gives you the beginning of homework, but I think a book might be more helpful. Alright guys, get started on your review. Remember, you do not have to show directions or problems. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my microphone and pause the video unless we come up with any good questions during class that I can show.